We are to share what Dining In for Healthy Families is all about. Our campaign for the Family and Consumer Sciences Day, December 3rd, 2014. I'm Carolyn Jackson, CFCS, and Executive Director of the American Association of Family and Consumer Sciences. I also have two special guests with me today. On my far left would be Joyce Miles, aka Ellen Swallow Richards, the founder of our field of Family and Consumer Sciences. And then in the middle would be Gwen Mason. Gwen is our Communications Director for FCS. So first of all, Joyce, why do you think we would have picked food preparation and mealtime together as a family as our campaign theme for this Family and Consumer Sciences Day?
Well, as we've heard early this morning and certainly read about, there is a national obesity epidemic, especially in children and teens. And a lot of it has to do with unhealthy eating and lack of food preparation knowledge. Research has shown that the whole family benefits from family mealtime by having better nutrition, improving family communication, fostering family traditions, and teaching life skills such as meal preparation, budgeting, and food preparation. Encouraging families to prepare simple, healthy meals and eat together supports the essence of family and consumer sciences, creating healthy and sustainable families. And a lot of restaurants are so noisy. That's hard to talk in person across the table, so eating at home is much quieter.
Much better for that. So, well, thank you, Joyce or Ellen. I'd like to give a special shout out to one of our partners of the Family and Consumer Science Alliance, FCCLA, that's Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. They have a national program called FCCLA at the Table that really does focus on family mealtime. So go to their website, fcclainc.org, and you'll find more information and some great tools and educational resources for middle and high school students regarding family mealtime. So big shout out to FCCLA on this program. You know, Gwen, you monitor a lot of our news clips, and we've seen really a prevalence of articles that say, bring back home economics. There was one particular one that stands out, and I think was almost the forerunner for all the other articles. It was in the Journal of the American Medical Association in May of 2010. So could you tell us a little bit about that and how it's connected to food preparation education?
Sure. Well, in the article from the Journal of the American Medical Association, they had an article titled Bring Back Home Economics Education. And what they stated in that article was that the most cost-effective way to fight childhood obesity would be food preparation education. And I have the exact quote here. So, obesity presently costs society almost $150 billion annually in increased health care expenditures. The personal and economic toll of this epidemic will only increase as this generation of adolescents develops weight-related complications, such as type 2 diabetes, earlier in life than ever before. From this perspective, providing a mandatory food preparation curriculum to students throughout the country may be among the best investments society could make. So it seems like there's a generation of people, and now they're parents, and they don't know how to prepare food. So that is a major problem. And through our Dining In campaign, we're bringing attention to having these food preparation skills that are really important.
Okay, well, thank you. You know, as we promoted this campaign, Dining In for Healthy Families, we've had some that are kind of in the middle, but we've also had reactions that are pretty much on the extreme ends. One end would be, why would we have a campaign for this? We do that every night, or every meal even. Our family always eats together. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we would have those that look at you like you have two heads. Like, can you imagine us trying to get a meal together for the full family, given our schedules, after-school soccer practices, violin lessons, this, that, everybody's activities? And so they said they'd never eat if they tried to wait until everybody was around to eat together. So again, Gwen, you have posted a lot of resources on our website about making family mealtime a real priority, but what would you say to those who already do it?
Well, even if you already dine in together, you can still up your game. So we have a few suggestions for that. The first one would be to make it a technology-free zone for family mealtime. So, put away your
No
cell phones,
phones.
TVs, tablets, any other devices,
And have a conversation.
And talk.
Exactly. Focus on, building your family relationships at that time. Another way to spice things up or up your game would be to, try a new recipe. You could introduce a new fruit, vegetable. If there's something that you've prepared or you would normally buy prepared, you could then try making it from scratch. Another way.
How's lasagna really made?
Oh yeah, exactly. It doesn't just come in a box that you put in the oven, but
I just had somebody share a lasagna in a crock pot recipe.
Oh.
I am eager to try that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I hate the baking and all that.
Oh, that's true.
Then it's ready when you come home.
How about that?
Exactly. And one other suggestion would be to even use family mealtime as a math project. So, you could compare the cost, to dining into, those costs of dining out and see how much money you're saving. And you'll hear later more about our staff dining and lunch that we did and how that only cost $7 per person. Plus we had leftovers. So, sometimes it's like a double meal, so.
Lunch again
Half the,
today.
half the price then.
Exactly.
Well, those are good suggestions. And again, to address we always do that, so why
I
is this
know.
a big deal? Well, I would imagine there's always room for improvement, and as you say, upping the game. So, but then on the other end of the spectrum, we talk to those people that never do it or feel like there are too many obstacles to doing it, so they just don't. And again, Gwen, you have posted resources to address this. There are many programs in family consumer sciences throughout the United States that talk about the importance of family mealtime. But you and your husband both work out of the home, and you have 2 small children. So now, of course, the children are too small to have their own after-school activities, but I know you have a hectic schedule. So what would you share with those types of families?
Well, if you already have, basic food preparation knowledge, because I'm going to need that first, of course, and my husband, happened to go to culinary school, so I benefit from that. I know, but still, even, with him having that knowledge, there's always the time crunch, So, the best way to make it happen would be to plan on the weekends. And we do have these, tips that we posted through our infographic, but one of them was to set aside 30 minutes for, planning your meals and to also purchase the groceries on the weekend, so that during the week when things are so hectic, you don't have to think about what am I going to make and go to the grocery store and all those things, because that would make it a lot more difficult.
I used to have a family consumer science teacher who literally would cook on the weekends for every meal of the rest of the week, and she never had to worry about it. She had 2 small children and worked.
I think that's good too.
So
if you can do that.
If you have freezer space.
Exactly, and the freezer space, true.
Well, and I knew a family and consumer sciences professor who would plan the month and grocery shop. And,
that's a little too,
too organized.
Too organized.
But she said that the person, the carry-out person at the grocery store always liked getting her because she would tip them. She had so many groceries for the full month. But planning does help.
Exactly, and we do have resources on our website, where they can help you plan, shop, all the tools to help you do that.
I always thought Ellen must have had somebody shop for her, because I don't know how in the world she ever had time to cook, and she did. They entertained,
Wow.
and so they early on didn't have refrigeration, so it wasn't like we have it today. I mean, she was married in 1875, and I know had an ice box, so I always thought that she must have had help.
Well, and she traveled so much too. So I know what it's like to travel and to fit that into schedules, and it's not quite as easy as going to an airport and getting on a plane.
Oh no,
Exactly.
definitely
So,
not.
yeah. Well, we digressed a bit.
I know,
But
yeah.
anyway, Gwen has talked a little bit about the young families, but Joyce, you were saying yesterday that you have the opportunity to work with a mother-in-law who's at the other age spectrum, and also, instead of having too many people in the household with hectic schedules, it's her living by herself.
I do. My mother-in-law is 90. She doesn't believe it, but she is. And she lives alone. She has no energy to cook, no desire to cook. She has the knowledge, but no energy or desire. And she honestly doesn't like to eat. Now that's really tough. So my husband and I live about 8 hours away, so it's not like we can come in and do something every day. But we've tried suggestions. I've tried making a week's menus. That has limited success. I've tried preparing foods and freezing them in the freezer in small portions. That works if I remind her every night that it's in the freezer. So it's a constant update. And the final thing that we did was to ask her to keep a food diary, just so that she remembered when she ate the last time and what she ate. And so we talk to her every night on the phone, and we ask her, what did you have to eat today? So we're working on it. Unfortunately, she doesn't want to participate in the Meals on Wheels or the social activity of the senior center, which is probably 500 feet away.
Oh, wow.
She's just not interested, but the social activity certainly would be welcome, because I think she does, have depression from, not having interaction. So elder issues and eating are entirely different than, say, young families. So she is dining in all the time, though, so she gets credit for that.
That's right. We can put her in the commitment.
Right, absolutely,
column.
absolutely.
So, and in addition to kind of the social environment, there's also the physical part of your taste buds being reduced or less sensitive.
She blames it on the medicine, but I don't know.
Hard to say,
right.
but it really can be a physical thing. So.
True.
Well, so we've given some suggestions to address those reactions on both ends of the spectrum, and then, we've had lots of reactions in the middle. But I think you may be wondering, you as part of our viewing audience, how we came up with our theme, or we've already talked about the theme, our goal for our Dining In campaign. We set a goal of 200,000 families to make and prepare and eat a healthy meal together. And for purposes of this campaign, we really have defined family very loosely. It could be blood relatives, it could be co-workers, it could be neighbors, it could be members of a club, it could be lots of different entities that you might socialize with. And that could be for purposes of this particular campaign called Your Family. And I think we think about that so much in the DC area, where many of us are not from here and we don't have blood relatives close by. We've got lots of examples of what people are doing with their Dining In campaign and commitment today. We have some principals who are having their faculty have a dine-in experience at their schools. We have employees, such as the Indiana Department of Education, are having a dining in experience. We have classes of students nationwide and around the world who are dining in today at school. And then we have some neighbors. They're kind of giving up their summer block parties, and they're having soup suppers with coming and preparing different toppings for their soups. So lots of different examples of how you can participate in dining in for healthy families. And we're
1893, Ellen was instrumental in setting up what was called the Rumford Kitchen. She ended up in a tiny little house all of her own, mainly because she wouldn't participate in the women's pavilion. And then she got dumped out of the industrial section because she was going to cook, and they wouldn't allow open fire in the building. And so she had her own little Rumford Kitchen, named after Count Rumford. And through the course of the World's Fair, she and her workers served 10,000 people. And they had nutrition information all around the room, and they served what they said was a day's ration for the people. And it was in cents. It only cost a couple of cents to do that. But it was the first nutrition education that people had on a global basis, as people all over the country and all over the world came to the World's Fair. So 10,000 people came to that. And I understand then it's been 20 years since 1994, when we moved from home economics to family and consumer sciences. So I can do the math. 20 times 10,000 is 200,000.
okay.
So that's where the number came from.
Terrific. There we have it. So, but I have to again comment about, when you talked about her posting nutrition education. what's old is new again, because we now have the legislation in play and sometimes enacted in some parts to really post nutrition education, or at least a calorie content on foods when you eat out. So again, you know, what goes around comes around, and she was a forerunner in that.
Absolutely.
Through her Rumford Kitchen at the World's Fair.
Right. I'm still trying to document whether she had something to do with FDA, Food and Drug Administration. It was passed in 1906, and we're still looking. I went to the Library of Congress, and there's some 100 boxes. And so I'm not sure that we'll ever document it, but that's one of my research to do things about Ellen. She surely was involved in the Food and Drug Act because she was alive at that time. So
I would think so.
So we're working on that.
Good. Well, again, the 200,000 came from 10,000 visitors who had been fed at the Rumford Kitchen so many, many years ago at that World's Fair, and then also 20 years of being known as Family and Consumer Sciences. I really want a special thanks to go out to our sponsors for our campaign. We have NASCO's Division of Family and Consumer Sciences, the Sugar Association, and Delcor. And then we've had many, many partners who have gotten out the word about our campaign, and that's so important. And it would be, I'm sure, because of those partners that as of the count this morning, we have 96,000 persons who have committed to dining in. So that's really, really exciting. Of course, we want to get to our 200,000 goal, which was very lofty, but because of those partners, that as of the count left, Gwen, you're going to interview experts on the topic of family mealtime.
Yes.
And so do you want to go over those, who's lined up for the day?
Yes. So first up at 11 will be Barbara O'Neill, and she's with Rutgers Cooperative Extension. So she'll be talking about the personal finance aspects of dining in, as well as some, health benefits to that. Second up will be Brian Wansink, and he's with the Food and Brand Lab at Cornell. So he'll be talking about his new book just out called Slim by Design. So he'll have some great tips for everybody. And then this afternoon we have Ingrid Adams. She's out of the University of Kentucky, and her focus will be on childhood obesity. And last up, we'll have Barbara Heath, and she's from the University of Illinois, and she heads up their Family Resiliency Center. So she'll talk about family relationships as part of family mealtime. She's a real expert, actually, on family mealtime. So.
And the Family Resiliency Center was started by Family and Consumer Science professional Doris Christopher.
Exactly.
Okay, Doris Christopher of Pampered Chef,
Chef.
Exactly.
who has, in fact, I have her book on Come to the Table. And you can kind of see how sometimes I read very special books, I put Post-it notes. They just feel too sacred to even highlight. So
She talks about the values of eating at home. Excellent book.
Yeah. So if you haven't already, I would challenge you, I would ask you to commit to dining in. That's all for this segment. We'll be back again in a few minutes to start with our experts. We have a birthday party planned for later on. And so thanks so much for joining us and addressing the issues of today's society through family to commit to dining in. That's all for this segment. We'll be back again in a few minutes to start with our experts. We have a birthday party planned for later on. And so thanks so much for joining us. And